Thank you everyone for joining us for our Lunch and Learn webinar. These webinars are provided by the Florida Green Building Coalition, which is also known as FGBC. My name is Deidre Omahen. I go by Dee, and I'm the chair of the Realty Appraiser and Builder Outreach Committee. And I'm also a green realtor, which is how I got to know Christopher. Our committee's goal is to provide these free webinars as a way to help build FGBC's membership and reach. There are a few things I want to mention before we begin. The recording of this webinar will be on FGBC's website and our YouTube channel. And I know you hear this a lot, but if you could please subscribe, that will help expand our reach with our videos. And everyone's muted. So if you have questions, if you could put them in the Q&A instead of the chat. And Christopher wants it to be kind of interactive, so he will be able to unmute you when you raise your hand. Also, we have a survey at the end, so please complete that. We do use the results to help us plan future webinars. Now, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about FGBC. FGBC is a nonprofit that's dedicated to improving the built environment. Our mission is to lead and promote sustainability with environmental, economic, and social benefits. We do this through regional education and certification programs. Please consider becoming a member. Some benefits include listing on our FGBC website and online database, and networking with like-minded professionals, which is my personal favorite, and volunteer opportunities. So we're going to do a quick poll before I introduce our speaker. And this is really important for us just to know how you heard about our webinar. It'll help us with marketing in the future. So if you could please reply, that would be wonderful. Okay, most of you through email. I'm assuming the FGBC email. Okay, all right, thank you, CJ. Okay, now I get to introduce our wonderful speaker. Christopher Matos-Rogers is a national speaker on sustainable real estate. He is the founder of a sustainability-focused team, the Matos-Rogers Group. Prior to real estate, Christopher worked in marine biology. This unique perspective drives his passion. In 2018, he created an all-new sustainability committee at the Atlanta REALTORS Association. He led a team that worked with nonprofits, local governments, and businesses in the sustainability space, with the goal to connect and educate realtors on this rapidly growing sector of real estate. His leadership experience includes the Sustainability Advisor Group for NAR, which for those of you who don't know, it's the National Association of Realtors, and as a director with the Georgia Solar Energy Association. He has also received multiple awards for leading progress in the Realtor organization. Please join me in welcoming Christopher.
Thank you, Dee, and I'm excited to be here with all of y'all. I do see a few familiar names in the crowd, so hey, Meg and Carlos, it's great to see y'all. And I will admit, this is actually my first time, which is surprising, running a Zoom. So kind of bear with me. I'm going to try to share my screen here, and hopefully this works. All right. Oh no. Oh great. Hold on one second. I'm having to do something with my setting.
I think we temporarily lost him. He's coming right back. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
All right, everybody, I do apologize, but we should be good to go now. That's what I get for not being prepared. So let's do this.
Yep, it's working.
Perfect. And my sincerest apologies. All right, so let's go into the presentation. All right, so today I want to talk to y'all about automating high performance homes. And this is something that Dee has seen me share some of the things that we've done in our home. And I know that she's been wanting to get this webinar together for a while. I am going to actually, in the slides, skim over some of the things that I'm going to assume that most of y'all already know about, like Nest thermostats and lighting controls. And I want to talk about emerging technologies and maybe some things that aren't as well known. And during that, if we're able to manage this, I'd love to kind of get some feedback from y'all on if you've tried some of these yourselves. If you want to share that experience. And of course, we're also going to have some time at the end to really have Q&A and hopefully a good discussion. But let's go ahead and jump in. So Dee did a great job of introducing me earlier. I am an Atlanta native, so deal with a lot of the same environment that you guys have down there with the heat and the humidity. Normally when I speak to folks, they're in the desert, so obviously a very dry and hot place. Or up north. So it's great to kind of be talking to folks who are used to the challenges that we have with a warm and humid environment. And I want to start a little bit with, why would you make a home smart? And why do folks choose to do that? And really at the core of a smart home is convenience. When we look at the folks who really started doing it where they were using computer parts and putting it in their house, the long history, it started with controlling devices, controlling lighting. So it was really kind of nerdy and geeky. And again, it was all about convenience. So automating routines, setting a scene for, if you want to watch a movie. But as it's matured and we've had better control, we've been able to merge a lot of these things. So on the smaller reasons why somebody would make a smart home is to save money, perhaps with reducing resource usage, which we're going to talk about heavily today. The other may be for setting a mood, whether that be comfort and lighting is really getting to be a very deep and detailed part of this conversation, from shifting color hues and all the way that we control and differentiate lighting. But one of the things that I hear, and I'm starting to hear it less, luckily, is the assumption that a smart home must equal a green home. And I really want to get us past that, because we have to go into the nuance of it. What makes a smart home? Going back to the first slide, it's all about convenience first. And if we can then have something that is resource efficient, or make something more comfortable with a high performance home, that's great. But at its key, and what a lot of people do, is all about convenience. So much like convenience food packaging, right? That is in most cases is not very green. It's all about convenience. So two things that people may not think about is that, first of all, a lot of these devices are electronics. And so creating them, sourcing the materials, the embodied carbon from the labor force that creates them, that is some kind of impact. So we have that as well. And how do we dispose of them?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your slides aren't moving. So they're stuck on the first slide still. Sorry.
Oh, no. Okay, let me see. Do y'all see that now?
Yeah, that's working. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, we'll figure this out together. And let me know when I move slides next if it doesn't move. I may just have to go back and forth with it. Another thing, and I've talked a lot about this with the Realtor Group, learning experiences from my own home, is that smart devices are always on. Whether they are waiting for a command to come into them or they're communicating a command, they are constantly giving heartbeats and kind of waiting for us to do something with them. Very small amounts of electricity, but unless you have a very entry smart home, or maybe you just have a few devices plugged in, this will really add up. So vulnerable moment for myself is that I don't know if they're on the screen, but I've got 2 Sonos speakers behind me in my office, and we actually have about 16 Sonos speakers across our home. Some of them are tied to TVs, others are just for general music listening. And they, depending on the model, have 3 to 6 watts of standby power apiece. So when you start seeing that, it really does add up. And if you have many other smart home devices, they can truly add up. So how do we offset that? It's going to be our third part of actually implementing and using them to reduce a resource or a usage or improve your home health or air quality. And that's really key. Do you guys see the next slide?
No.
Okay, I'll just have to add an extra step between the two. All right, do you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so what is holding us back from having a greener home, optimizing air quality and other things? A lot of it is human behavior, right? So when we talk about even simple things as what is a net zero home, if we change out the family or the people that are in the home and their usage patterns, a home that has 2 electric vehicles versus a car that has 2 gas vehicles, they're going to be very different things. So when we remove the human factor or human behavior from a high performance home with automation, then we can get great results. So for example, not running the vent hood when people cook, that's actually extremely common. Some people do it because they say it's too loud. Others just forget about it. What if we could automate that, where it just automatically comes on when it senses you cooking? Do you forget to turn lights off or other equipment? Or sometimes maybe you forget to turn them on, like maybe a bath exhaust fan when it's needed. What if you could automate that? Do you want to reduce your usage when you're away from home? There are vacation settings on a lot of devices, but if you have to manually go in and trigger that setting, wouldn't it be great if it just knew either through motion or a geolocation on your phone that you were no longer home and change settings in your house? Are you curious about your actual resource usage? Most people have no idea how much energy that they use other than when their bill comes. So they see that cumulative number and that cost, but what is it on an hour by hour usage? And what is it even more granular in devices? And do you want your home to react to different environmental changes? So that could be air quality, that could be lighting levels. There's a lot that we could do here with automation. Actually, what I may just do is stay here. All right, so these are some of the areas that we can improve with automation. Again, today we really want to talk about energy usage. It's also probably the most developed and most well-known in the automation space with most folks. There are many well-known and established devices. Nest thermostat is a great one, for example. Other than smart thermostats, if we have the chat feature working, do you guys know of or use any other automated energy devices in your home? And Deidre, if you can see if people raise their hand or anything.
Nobody so far.
Okay, well that could be good. Maybe we'll have some good new information for folks today. You can also automate things around your water usage, which is often the redheaded stepchild in efficiency. So we'll cover that as well today. And then air quality, it's a very rapidly growing sector, largely from the pandemic, but there's also been a lot of devices and manufacturers that have entered that space. And so now there's some really awesome things happening around air quality.
Christopher?
Yes.
Okay, so we got a few answers. Yelena, hopefully I'm saying that right, says pool pumps, and Bill Catchman said water heater automation.
Ooh. I love both of those, and definitely I see the Florida with the pool pumps. I didn't even think about putting those on the slides here because they're not as common here in Georgia. I forgot my audience. All right. So, go ahead.
Oh, and then I actually use I automate an automatic sprinkler system with a Ratio device.
I'll probably call on you to talk about that when we get in water too, because I did not put a slide for it, but I did want to mention it because that's probably what I would assume is the most used and well-known water efficiency device.
And Kristen said she has an energy efficient hot water heater that she can control from her phone.
Is that the Ream?
Interesting. Kristen, what brand is that? I've never heard of that either.
I actually, if
Yeah,
y'all,
Ream.
do y'all see the slide that says know your usage?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my Ream app too. I do love the Ream, so you can actually see what she sees as well. So the iPhone screen on the right, the one that has the green bars, that is the Ream app, and that's actually an annual consumption for our Ream heat pump water heater. But they also make this product for most of the other Ream devices, which is great. So you can actually see your usage over time, and it logs it. So number one is knowing your usage, and I love that some of y'all brought up usage and how you track it. So I wanted to share a couple of examples of some kind of easy ways to track energy. On the left, we have a Sense Energy Monitor, and this is a device that costs about $250. It does require an electrician to install because it does go inside of your panel and connects to 240 volt power. So it's definitely not a DIY type project, and it does use AI over time to learn what is most likely happening in your house. So as you can see on my bubble, this is a high energy time, mostly because there's an electric vehicle charging at a little over 7 kilowatt hours, so 7 kilowatts. And then you see we've got a lot of other little bubbles going on. We've got an ERV going, a whole house dehumidifier, the HVAC is running. This is probably a wet evening or something at the house. And so this is a great way to see a lot of granular data and identify things. So we have when we talk about vampires, reduction, and shifting, the first thing we did when we got Sense was just trying to understand our usage on a base load. But then also seeing what was changing over time. We have not seen some really interesting things. People will find things that are running inefficiently, like a fridge or another motor, for example. We have not had that happen in our house yet, but the AI is smart enough that it can actually detect an abnormal change eventually and say, you should do this to your device. So that's a nice savings. But for us, we've mostly really been able to identify energy vampires and remove them or automate them so that we can drastically reduce. And we did last summer, we went through this part and cut $60 off our monthly energy bill. So that was a nice massive savings, which helped quickly pay back the cost for this device. There is one thing I will say about it is it's not perfect. You're not going to plug it in. It just suddenly identifies everything. And sometimes frustratingly, it misidentifies things, but it gives you more information than you had before. Along with that, as I mentioned, finding energy hogs. A lot of times it could be your AC unit that's not running as efficiently, a fridge with a bad seal. Finding those energy hogs and getting them perhaps the maintenance or even the replacement if it's time to replace it. Those are all things that can drastically reduce your energy. And I don't know how you guys are doing in Florida with time of use, but in Georgia, it is becoming increasingly common, and it will probably become the default here shortly. So understanding how you use energy, when you use it, what is using the most energy on your bill will help you be successful if you choose to go on time of use or it becomes the norm. Do y'all have time of use down there in Florida?
I don't think so. Anyone out there? Do you want to explain a little bit more what that is?
Yes,
Yeah,
certainly.
people are saying no, we don't.
Yeah, time of use is, as we all probably remember, weekend minutes with cell phone plans, right? The whole thing was to get to shift consumers off of using like 9 to 5 Monday through Friday minutes on their phones because it was creating congestion on the network. So electricity is much the same in that, during seasonal peaks, so during the summer when we all need AC a lot more, energy is needed in a much larger number. And oftentimes the energy company has to bring up a lot of capacity all at once. All of that is expensive. It's also usually very dirty because they use what's called a peaker plant to really bring that up. So time of use, what it does is it encourages and incentivizes consumers and businesses to understand the actual cost of their energy and what it takes to create it, and get them to help out the grid itself and the general public, right? Because we all want to use the cleanest energy, and to shift it when there's a lower demand. So that's what time of use really does. And I've got some more slides in here later that will touch on opportunities and challenges on time of use. But it's not the main thing here in Georgia. It is right now, it's you have to opt in, but we are, the last couple of years, new construction particularly has been defaulting to time of use, and people have to go in and select not to be in it, right? So that's a new stage. And our Public Service Commission has mentioned on several occasions that it is coming, that the flat rate standard kilowatt price will be going away, and it's not maintainable. So y'all may eventually have similar things. And I do see Yelena said that it is, I guess, an option through FPL. So the next one I wanted to kind of talk about is, we talk a lot about lighting. I didn't put anything in here in this slide about lighting with light bulbs and automation, because again, it's one of those things that almost everybody kind of already knows about or understands, and we can definitely discuss those at the end. But I wanted to cover something that people may not really think about, that is automated blinds, right? Controlling light when and where we want it. A lot of passive house design is using light to heat your home in the winter, but obviously in the summer you don't want it. So this is actually my living room, and you can see the top picture is inside the house and the bottom is outside. This is our front living room, and it's an east-facing window. And you'll see too, we have got this awesome wide overhang. The house is mid-century modern, which helps mostly shade that window when we have the morning and late morning sun. But it still hits like that bottom third of the window, and we would get quite a bit of heat gain during the summer. So what we did is added cellular shades, and these are actually motorized. And on top of that, they are automated for the months of May through September to close at 9 a.m. and then to open at 12:30. And what they do is they keep that room cool without having that heat gain from the sun during those direct hours where it's coming in. And then the other months of the year, we actually just let them stay open. And especially during the winter, the minimal heat gain that we get is actually a bonus. So this is something that a lot of people use for more of a comfort and lighting routines. They might have, blackout shades that come out overnight and then they raise in the morning. But this is another way you can use them. I will say that this is more of a cosmetic, right? You're not going to save, unless over a very long time, you're probably not going to save so much in energy to pay for this upgrade. This is 3 windows right here, and it was about $1,000 for those custom level or blinds. But they look great, and we use them in other times, even just to have privacy at certain times. So, this is something maybe where you aren't purchasing specifically for an energy savings, but it can help you have better comfort. And I see Meg says she needs them. I really do love those, and they are actually the Energy Shield upgrade on Levelor. So they're a double cell instead of just a single cell. So they've got some extra padding. So Yelena, these are Levelor, and they actually just redid them. Unfortunately, we just put a bunch of these in our house the last 2 years, and they just came out with an even better solution. So ours is a little put together through our system, and now they're much more consumer friendly as of August. They have a hub and everything that works, and we've been very, very pleased with them. Let's switch over to air quality, right? So as I'm sure with you guys being in the green housing field, you've seen a lot of the conversation we've had, particularly around with COVID and understanding of air quality. So these are a couple screenshots. The one on the left with the black background is AirThings, which is a great standalone air filter device. And then the one on the right is by, I'm sorry. The one on the black is Aware, AWAIR. The one on the right, this white background, is AirThings. And I love AirThings because they add radon. I'm not sure how you guys are with radon in Florida, but the Atlanta metro area is a high radon occurrence area. We're EPA zone 1. So radon is definitely something that's important to monitor up here in Atlanta on a regular basis. But so much of our air quality you usually can't see, right? So some of the common things we would see are particulate matter. It's usually on these meters shown as PM 2.5. There's PM 10, PM 1, but usually on these meters you'll see PM 2.5, and that's the size of the particle. In your home, it's most often going to be caused by you cooking, whether you're using, burning a combustible on the stove, or even just the food itself giving off stuff, and of course dust. We do get some wildfires in Georgia and Florida, not very common, but if you're in areas like the out west, they also have PM issues now with wildfires where it gets inside their home. So this is a great way to measure that. CO2, of course, that has really become more aware during COVID as a sign to understand when a house has poor ventilation. When you get high CO2 levels in your house isn't ventilating, and of course, that could be a higher likely for you to transmit COVID and other respiratory diseases. But of course, there's also some effects on you and your cognitive ability. Is this an app we are looking? Yes, Peggy. So these are apps. So both of these apps, like I said, the one that is the black background is Aware, AWAIR. You do have to buy a device and from these companies that monitors your air quality in your home, and then each of the devices come with an app, which is how you set them up and then look into them so you can see where your air quality is. You can also set up these apps to send you alerts. So for example, Aware might say, hey, your VOCs are really high. And what I actually, in addition with that, I love these because they say this event happened. And then they also alert you when your air quality goes back to safer normal levels. And it'll say, hey, let's reflect and find out, what you were doing that might have caused that. So, because a lot of it is what is our human behavior that we're doing that is causing this? And I do agree. Yes, Peggy, these are great. My husband has allergies and asthma, and during COVID, we got really deep into the air quality, and just understanding our air has helped us understand the benefits also of improvements that we've made, like with ERVs and other filtration. So these are great for you to be able to see your before and after air quality when you make some of these large investments. And of course, I touched on radon. Most of y'all, assuming you're realtors and builders, are familiar with radon and what it is. Let's see. Oh, yes, Meg, I'm familiar with Govee. I haven't used one of them before. But I've heard great things about Govee. There's a lot of things in this space. I will say that air quality is just blowing up. But there's one thing here. So these monitors at this point are just going to tell you what's going on with your air. And hopefully, again, you can kind of trace what your activity was or a change that happened so you can minimize the effects. But if we take it even further, this is where we got really excited is what if you have air quality monitors telling you and constantly monitoring your air, but what if they could do something to counteract that change? So these screenshots are from Brown's Overture system. So again, this is little pieces of equipment, air monitors and controls that then also have an app. So as you'll see on the screen on the left, you'll see air quality status. So just like the prior devices, these are measuring things like VOCs, CO2, particulate matter, humidity, and then you see how things are or are not in range. And what's really great is Brown Overture is a 3-piece system. You can have one or all three. It starts with a simple plug-in air monitor, which is actually the one that's on the left that was in our kitchen. You can plug it into anywhere that has a 110-volt outlet, so anywhere with a wall plug, bedroom, living room, wherever. It can just serve like the others to let you know when things are up. The other device they have is an in-wall outlet, so it looks a lot like a light switch. So it does wire into a device. So either a bathroom exhaust fan or even a kitchen vent hood. so that when you, if any of y'all have kids, my kids are now both 21 next month. So, but when they were home, they would never turn off on the bath fan. And so having something that senses the high humidity when somebody's taking a shower, and then it, gets that humidity out, and then when the humidity is low again, shuts it off, that is what we need to happen. And the same thing with cooking too, because that same device can be used for a kitchen exhaust fan. So it could sense PM or VOCs from cooking and then turn that vent hood on for you. And then again, shut it off when you're done. The way we have it set up with our home is that we have the air monitor plug-in, and then we have the third device, which is a control plug for our ERV. So what happens is when the air quality monitor senses that something is out of whack, it boosts our ERV into turbo mode for 4 hours or until the event is over and the air quality is back again. So again, we don't even have to think about it. It's just taken care of. And Dee, I do see your question about what vent hoods will this work with. So the great thing about the Brone system is that it works with almost all devices, because what they do is they plug, this goes into the place of your light switch or your power switch, where you would normally have something for a vent hood or a bath fan. So this becomes the switch. So you still have controls where you can manually turn things on and off, but then it also has the built-in air quality monitor. So it's sensing all of those things, and then it will turn the fan on and off when and if needed. So you can actually put almost any brand of vent hood or exhaust fan on here. And so that's what's really great about them. If you're really nerdy and you do a lot with your home control system, Aware and AirThings, which were the two devices we saw previously, they do use an API where you can pull the data from those devices into your home automation system. And so therefore, if you're a little more into creating your system and you're not having somebody do it for you, or you have that level of control, you can work through and use an Aware or an AirThings to automate a process close to what the Brone is. But the Brone is at this point at least the most plug-and-play solution for that's on the market. But as the next bubble says, this is a fast emerging space. Brone Overture is only a year old, and there's lots of people coming into the space. So this is going to be the space that I'm really excited about as we can automate a lot more of this stuff. And you're even seeing Kobe thermostats has now added a little bit in this space where it now measures, I think, CO2 and maybe PM, and it will turn on your whole house fan and run your house through the filter to help bring those things down. So we're starting to see a lot of people get into this space and do things. So I think this is going to get a lot easier for us. And now let's switch over to water. Actually, I'd love to call on Dee. Dee, would you like to talk a little bit about your sprinkler system? And is it Ratio? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I remember it's like Ralph Macchio, so I think it's Raccio. That was
Okay.
how I could remember it. So Raccio. But there's a couple other brands, and it's amazing. You set it up where you explain what each zone is, and it asks you like the soil type, what things are growing in that zone, and then it sets up a schedule for you based on that. And then the most important thing is it has weather technology. And so if it knows that it's going to rain, like say my sprinklers are supposed to go off tonight, but it's supposed to rain tomorrow, then it'll skip the rain. And then there's also a wind skip. So if there's high wind, it'll skip the sprinklers. And also saturation. If the ground is already really saturated, like from the hurricane we had, it'll skip it. So it saved me, hundreds of dollars. Like it paid for itself pretty quickly.
Yes. No, I mean, those are the kind of things that are exciting, right? Some of this stuff is just so easy to implement, and it saves money, it saves resources, it saves you on landscaping from overwatering and creating fungal growth or something like that. So I love that y'all have had a good experience with that. One of the other examples, and you guys probably have seen this, I'm just going to talk about Streamlabs because it's what I've used, and I believe they were sort of the first entrant into the market. I have Flow by Moen and a bunch of others that have entered this space. So this screen, as you can see, this is a Streamlabs water meter. It was actually very DIY. It just attaches to where the water comes into our house up in our basement. You zip tie it on, and you just enter, what size that your pipe is, and it uses radio frequency to see flow and then tell you how much volume is going through. So it's really good for you to be able to understand your usage over time, and even really by device, because you can go around your house and turn a faucet on or a shower and see what this thing measures, because it's very, very responsive. So on this, you can see that it was zoomed in on a particular day. So as of that time in that day, we used 56 gallons. You can see the spike in the morning from showers. But this is also really great to have because, like a lot of these apps, you can get alerts sent to you when something is out of the norm. So one, you can detect leaks early. And some of these models, this model that I have does not have the automated actuated valve to close the water supply, but some of them do have where you can either tell it to shut it off, or when it detects a leak for a long time, it'll shut off. Saving you not only resources, but also, lowering the damage to your property if it's a leak. And so those kind of things are super important. I don't know if you guys have had water billing issues. We've had water billing issues over the last decade. They seem to be kind of cleared up, but where people were getting absolutely insane bills because we had failing water meters. So devices like this have also been really helpful to be able to provide a kind of a secondary backup to compare to if you got one of these erroneous bills when it was going on. Yes, somebody also mentioned Flume. Flume is another one. A lot of these are all very, very similar, but I think they're great, and they're definitely something for folks to look into. And then I want to wrap up, and then we'll open this up. But what is up next, right? So both of these spaces are maturing, and they're also intersecting more than ever. So both smart home and high performance home markets. And so what is out now, and what you're going to continue seeing become more and more mainstream, is more of these integrated solutions that are all in one. You don't have to piece things together as a homeowner or have some complicated system installed by an integrator or something like that cost a lot. For example, smart panels. Span is a company that is a startup. They're now, I think, on their 3rd generation of product, and we've even got something not quite as complete, but something similar by Eaton, a smart panel that's out. What's really exciting about these is they integrate that Sense energy monitor, but they actually monitor each individual circuit. So you can see, if you know what that circuit is, you can actually see what that circuit is using. They are very geared toward integrating with solar and battery backup, particularly. So the other really cool thing that makes Span awesome is that as you guys may have seen, for those of y'all who experienced it this week with the hurricane, the folks who were on solar with battery backup, typically you have dedicated circuits. So normally your battery backup doesn't back up your entire house. It would back up only the circuits that you had chosen to have hardwired to that backup, right? So maybe your fridge, and a couple other things. The Span panel, you can actually change on the fly in the app. So if you've got, a really good backup amount of energy, and it's a sunny day, you could run more things. You can simply just go in the app and say, I want to also allow this circuit to be able to tap the battery backup. So, talk about just, resiliency and options. And in the same space, solar and battery in general, right? Again, very timely with weather that we've had, resilience, but also load shifting. So talking about that time of use, being able to, have your house essentially run completely off the grid during those high rate times, right? And then perhaps, some people are even having their batteries fill up at night on those really low rate times. So you can really do some triage and, almost do like buy low and sell high type thing. So it's a very interesting space to watch, and you're going to see it for a multitude of factors, mostly for resilience, especially, seeing all the publicity about Babcock Ranch and how they experienced the hurricane. It was very different than everybody else. And then lastly, what I kind of see is a lot of awesome stuff happening in the air quality space. As I mentioned, 2020 and, that early part of 21, you saw a lot in monitoring, but it's like, well, what do I do now? So my air is off, but how do I make it better? And you're starting to see some things trickling out where maybe it turns on an air purifier and other things. But you've got Haven IQ, which I have not tried yet, but it's these more all-in-one solutions where it has your equipment react to air quality sensors very quickly and then manage that issue that you're going with. And that's what we want, right? We want to remove the human error, us having to think about it, going back to the convenience, right? People are only going to really uptake a lot of these things when they're easy, when they're done for them, when they don't have to think about it. And that's what's really exciting about what is happening here in this space is there's a lot of opportunity to maximize our use of energy efficient devices and of course, air quality and other performance issues. So with that, I would love to open the floor. Deidre, if you have any questions yourself, if prepared, or if anybody else in the chat box, because I can see the chat box, I would love to kind of, hear your experiences, what you've seen in your market, what you have done in your own home, maybe some stories with your clients. Anybody want to start? Or I'll turn it over to Dee first.
Yeah, I have one question while people are thinking of other ones. Sometimes I feel like it's so overwhelming trying to keep up with all the new technology. Are there any resources or conferences or just places where you can keep abreast of what's out there?
That is a great question. I mean, a lot of the conferences are very much going to be geared toward the industry. And when I say the industry, I mean tech and even HVAC installers, contractors. Builders are probably going to see it a lot more at like IBS, for example. We are working to get more of this stuff in front of the realtors. It's been an interesting progress there in the last year. A lot of people didn't think they needed to engage realtors, but we're getting there. A lot of them are starting to see, actually, yes, these people are even more in touch with people than, say, a builder, for example. And of course, realtors are consumers as well. So, and I see Bill said YouTube has a lot as well. Yes, YouTube, you can get on there and search anything and go down a rabbit hole of information. That is a great way to do that. And I say with just any kind of home performance things, whether it's energy efficiency or it's this tech stuff, just start somewhere. Start with that first piece and just make it a journey. I'm years and years into this at this point. So you're seeing kind of like after years of doing it and implementing and trying different things. And the great thing is when you try it, you'll understand interesting use cases and help understand things even better than maybe they're marketed. So just start somewhere wherever it's safe. Start with YouTube, pick up a product and just see how it goes.
Great, thank you. And we just had a question if you're willing to share your slide deck.
Yes, I can send that to y'all.
Great, thank you. Oh, and Peggy, did you see her question?
Yes, do I share this with my clients? I will say that yes, I do share when we're going through the process of buying or selling, particularly on the buying side. I will share when we go through houses opportunities for folks to improve things. I will say that I probably talk less about smart home opportunities than maybe the fact of, hey, here's an opportunity to switch out to a heat pump water heater or do this installation. Those things are generally a lot more affordable and easier for most people to handle than the smart home side, because at this point, at least, it's not very DIY. And there's a lot of piecing things together. So I wouldn't recommend it to most of my clients unless they, were hiring somebody to help. But again, where we're going now, the products we're starting to see trickle out, the space is getting very exciting, and I will be able to make more recommendations to more of my clients because I will be able to be confident that they'll be able to enjoy it, right? And not have it be a sense of stress and confusion.
And I know in the beginning, you said that you were going to touch on lighting. Because I know there's been some advances with that. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that at all.
Yes, yeah. So the thing about lighting, I kind of skim over it because I just kind of assume everybody knows it. I mean, so there's really kind of two spaces. One is the energy efficiency and control of it. So that lights turn on when you want them to, but turn off when you're not in the room. And that's a really exciting space because it's as simple or as complex as you want. There are many relatively cheap and relatively DIY options available, from occupancy sensors, which I think a lot of people probably have used that, or switches and doors. So when you open a closet door, a pin is allowed to come out and the light comes on, or perhaps your laundry room, since you don't go in there as often as most rooms, it has a motion sensor where the light socket would be. So it senses you walk into the room and flips the light on. Those are some of the most basic ones, but even things like a Lutron cassetta system, which you can get at most hardware stores online, Amazon, that are very plug and play, replace your wall outlets or the light switches in the wall, and you have a hub like most systems that you can you still have manual control, but you can create scenes so that things happen maybe when you come home or at a certain hour, things turn off. There's a lot of opportunity there. But the other kind of, I won't call it emerging because I think it's actually quite mature now, is actually more of that mood lighting, where the lighting is adaptive. It'll change its color spectrum based on the time of day or your mood. There's a lot of awesome stuff there. And I see Bill mention GoV. Yes, GoV is a very good and affordable brand. It's probably a more reasonable Philips Hue brand. We have Philips Hue in our house, but I will tell you they are expensive. They do work. You do get what you pay for, but GoV seems to be a good value brand where it works and does have a value.
Hey,
I do see
Carlos would like to speak. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Christopher. How are you? Good to see
I'm great.
you.
How are you?
I'm good, and I'm so blown away by all the wealth of information that you shared today. Like I'm pretty much into smart homes and eco-friendly homes, and all these products and artifacts that you shared with us today are all new to me. So I am so glad that I joined this session, because every time that I listen to you, I learn so much. So I really wanted to thank you for sharing all this wealth of knowledge with all of us. And I was wondering if the green designation course, has it been updated? Because when I took it like 7 years ago, none of these technologies were around. So I was wondering how we can spread the knowledge and all the information to the professionals that are within the construction industry, in order so that we can educate our customers and all the the homeowners that we come along every day.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And so I have good news for you, and that is that yes, it does get updated every few years. And it was actually updated the end of last year. I was part of the process of updating that. So I did make sure that much of what we covered today was added in. And the good thing is, if you are a green designee, which I know you are, you actually can go, I think it's on the Green Designee website. They have it recorded when Craig Foley taught it for the first time, December of last year, the new program. It is recorded there, so you don't have to pay to take it again. So any existing green designee can go and take that, watch that recording, that 2-day recording, and get the latest information, which much of this was wrapped up into there.
Phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks again.
And I also see Yelena asked a question, which I love. And she mentioned that she asked a builder in y'all's area what smart or green features would be available. And his response was that in their survey, people did not express interest. And I love these kind of questions because in the most simple explanation, I am a longtime EV driver, over 8 years now. And with the absence of Tesla, we wouldn't have electric vehicles, because everybody, and a lot of, Toyota still says it to this day that people don't want electric vehicles, but they are proven wrong time and time again. So one of the things I've been saying lately is, we need a Tesla builder, right? We need a builder that's going to go out there and be a Tesla and build these products. When we don't provide people the option to even have it as an option, they don't know what they don't know. But I will say that there are definitely people who want it. And what's exciting about this market shift that's going on is we're going from a point of where anything sells and nobody has to try. So people just buy anything they can get, is that we're shifting. Builders and sellers are going to have to be making sure that they have competitive homes that have the features that people really want rather than just being a box. And so combined with things like the Inflation Reduction Act, and again, these markets maturing, we're meeting this culmination where any builder who decides to really dedicate themselves, again, I'm going to go back to y'all in Florida with Babcock Ranch. I mean, those are the kind of stories you're going to continue to see, and builders that embrace that space are the ones who will survive and thrive, and the others will have to play catch up. So it's an exciting time there.
Great, thank you. And Bill Catchman just wanted to remind people that if you join FGBC, the membership rate for individuals is very, very fair. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I've learned a ton from joining that and attending the Realtor Appraiser Builder Outreach Committee. So that's an option for Carlos or anyone else who's local in Florida.
I wanted to add something. Kristen made a really good point. So she says you have to relate smart green features with energy savings, and the buyers do want to save money. That is true. And Kristen, I don't know if you're a realtor or if you're a builder, but what I will say, if you're a realtor, and builders to an extent too are responsible, and this is how we market. We sell lifestyle, right? When people see a beautiful kitchen, they don't think, oh, this kitchen is going to save me so much money. They're like, this kitchen will make me happy cooking in it. Maybe it has the tools that are going to help me become a great amateur cook, and I can, take Instagram photos of my, pastries that I'm going to make. There's a lot, and I hope I kind of got on it today, and I mentioned, like with the blinds, that there are certain things that are not necessarily going to be a financial savings, but they're cool, right? They're cool. They're fun, it's a lifestyle. And so much of green, whether it's green high performance or this automation stuff, it can be both, right? And it's important to know what is going to save you money and what's just a cool factor. But it is okay for something that's green or automated to not necessarily save money, but be a splurge, because it's going to give you an experience. And so we also have to be able to know the difference between those and be able to convey that information to a buyer.
Did we want to comment real quickly on Meg's post?
Yeah, that's a great one. And I love seeing that y'all's number is higher than Georgia. Georgia, we have 50,000, I think, is what Meg has shared with me. For those, if you don't know Meg, Meg is also a member of the NAR Sustainability Advisory Group, and I believe she's based in Portland with Earth Advantage, and they run the Green Building Registry, which is a public searchable database. So you can enter your home or one of your clients' homes in there, and it'll pull up if it has any kind of certification or HERS rating. Do y'all want to, is Meg able to talk?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to chat. Yeah, Earth Advantage is located in Portland, Oregon. It's a nonprofit who built the Green Building Registry, which is the nation's largest single source of home performance data in the United States. We have over 2.2 million homes included in the registry. So this was really a mission-focused initiative. I'm a former MLS executive who was frustrated about trying to find this type of data to make sure that all of this information is making it into the real estate transaction process, aka into listings when they come up for sale and or lease or rent even. So I joined the team at Earth Advantage a couple of years ago to head up this data aggregation initiative. The Florida Green Building Coalition has been one of our data partners for more than a year now, which means that you can go to the us.greenbuildingregistry.com and find Florida Green Building Certification data. And you can filter by that specific certification. You can look up a specific property address. You can search by town or county. Some states that have smaller numbers of available data at this point, you can search the whole state. But generally in Florida, I'd suggest the largest geography you search would be at the county level, because there are over 175,000 properties that have these certified, these certifications associated with them. So it's a great resource if you're looking for something on a property, and you can add it to your listings at that point. I am in discussions with some MLSs in Florida about the ability to auto-populate this data into listings. So, you know, that's maybe a feature that's coming to your area soon. If that's something that's of interest to you, I'd encourage reaching out to your MLS and let them know. And we also have in Florida, for Florida specific programs, the Florida Water Star program from the St. John's Watershed District. So that is actually right now our only water certification program that we have in the United States. So it's really exciting to have that data available in Florida as well. So thanks, Deirdre, for she included some information about that in her chat as well. So thanks for the opportunity to mention that, and great presentation. I appreciate the new information. I'm always learning as well. Thanks, Christopher.
You're welcome. Well, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Dee to wrap us up.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Christopher. It was an excellent presentation, and we appreciate the audience participating too. And keep your eye out for when we have our next presentation, and pretty please fill out the survey at the end. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.